Good morning, everybody, and a happy Thursday morning to you. There's a lot in here, another super long video. You're not going to want to miss it. Let's jump in and let's get busy. Let's go. I want to start by saying a big thank you to the person who sent me the cat cup. Remember, it came last time broken, and Zazzle wouldn't fix it for me. She apparently got in touch with them, and they sent me a brand new one. This is going to be my morning coffee drink. And to the subscriber of mine, I think she was a troll, not a subscriber, who made the nasty comments about me because I pointed out the cup was broken. Somebody went out of their way to spend their hard-earned money on me and sent me a fabulous gift that came broken. Why shouldn't they have it fixed? Ugh. Okay, let's jump in. We're starting off this morning with Queen Camilla, who was in a beautiful Scottish village with her daughter Laura and her 17-year-old granddaughter, and they were doing some window shopping. Camilla's daughter Laura apparently has 3 children. The youngest is Eliza, and that's who was there. And these pictures really show they're a close, happy family. They have a great relationship, and it's not all about being queen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't see a gazillion amounts of security standing around them. They're simply beaming, running around, doing their thing on summer break. I love that. All right, let's move on. Next up, we have Prince Edward and Sophie. They went on a date night over the weekend. They made an appearance at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival where they took in a magic show by illusionist Sean Alexander. He styles himself as the Confusionist. Isn't that interesting? According to him, the two of them really loved the show. I'm sure they did. All right, let's move back to Queen Camilla. A charity that is supported by her has shared an update because there's been a lot of financial pressure. And so it's forced them to close one of their shops. It's called the Prospect Hospice. Now, this place provides dedicated end-of-life care to those across the north of Wiltshire. And it's been supported by the Queen since she became their patron in 2013. So the charity sent out a message that says, quote, "The decision to close has not been an easy one, but continued financial pressures across the charity sector, including rising costs and changing shopping habits, means Prospect Hospice has to focus our resources where they can have the greatest impact on funding patient care." So there's a shop on Marlborough High Street, and it will close as of September 6th. The Queen herself has expressed her concerns about the lack of provision and the continuing issues faced by charities and hospices across the country, saying, "I wish we could clone these places because there aren't nearly enough of them." All right, let's move on. Moving on, we know that King Charles is at Balmoral. It's now being reported that Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah have also joined them at Balmoral. They're staying in a lodge that's on the Balmoral estate. Princess Beatrice and Eugenie are expected to join them later. And people are like, we can't believe that the king invited them after this book has come out. Guys, that's still his brother. This is a private time for the family. It's got nothing to do with public duties. Absolutely, they should be there. Also set to join them are William and Catherine, along with George, Charlotte, and Louis, as well as Edward and Sophie and their children, James and Lady Louise. The whole family's going to be there. It's being reported allegedly that this invitation to Balmoral is a show of support to Andrew and Sarah, and the fact that the rest of the family is showing up. Listen, you guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's there in a private capacity. You guys would have him live in a house with no contact with anybody like a hermit, but that's not real life. Now, with the whole family getting there, people are saying, shouldn't the king invite Harry and Meghan? I think most people would say no. But of course, again, you know how the UK loves their polls, and they did one, and guess what? No. And I don't think anybody would show up if Harry and Meghan were there. The invitation is supposedly an outreach, but also it's being said that King Charles is making decisions to stop them from causing trouble because apparently, he's getting threats from Andrew and Sarah. So his move to stop them from doing anything was to not fully evict them. He's going to let William handle them. Well, let's talk about William really quick. The Daily Mail has essentially done another hit piece saying that William is a control freak with tendencies and stubborn insistences on privacy, and that it's wreaking havoc. What could William's obsession with protecting his own family do to the monarchy? It's one of these kinds of hit pieces. They talk about how William last year did a puny 71-year-old event compared to Princess Anne, who did 474 even after she was kicked in the head by a horse, not pointing out the fact that he scaled back his duties because his wife had just been diagnosed with cancer and they had 3 young children. Goes on, his obsession with privacy is because of his own deeply unhappy and dysfunctional childhood, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. You see this picture above? The caption below it said, William has raised concern about what kind of monarch he'll be in a world which requires more than the odd snap of Kate hugging a tree. Are you kidding me? You guys don't follow the Daily Mail. They suck. All right, if you guys can believe this, it's been 5 years that Harry and Meghan have been trying to trademark the name Archewell. 5 years since they put in their application, and they finally got past a major step. So here's what happened. They filed their application to the United States Patent and Trademark Office in 2020, and it was rejected, saying that the wording was too vague. They also didn't sign the documents or pay the required fees. Then in 2022, they needed clarifications, and their application said that they were going to be creating live podcast performances, live stage performances, etc., etc. They were told that they had to clarify that those were entertainment-based services and specify the nature of what live stage performances meant. So now that it's been assigned to an examiner to formally grant the mark, the application for Archewell Audio has also been cleared to final registration on Saturday. Now, by contrast, Meghan's lifestyle brand As Ever is still pending. The last time it was updated was last June, because we know in February she had to rename American Riviera Orchard in a bid to start over, and she later launched all of her stuff. But the rebrand has been off to a rocky start. First, there was a plagiarism row in Spain, and a village accused her of copying their coat of arms for the logo. Then a New York clothing label stepped up and said, we have the same name. Please do not trademark that because we're going to have to take legal action. And now there's been nothing but problems with her. Let's move on now to Prince Harry's former charity, Sentebale. They have had to lay off all but one of the staff in London due to funding concerns, okay? 4 of the 5 employees in the London office have been made redundant, according to the global head of finance and compliance. Apparently, between April and September, there were a total of 7 departures across 3 locations. Now, I find it interesting that Harry stepped away. The Sussex squad and everybody is basically saying, don't donate. It's like he's completely forgotten why he set up this charity. And the people that are going to be damaged by this are those poor children. And a Sentebale spokesman said that the charity has suffered from the negative impact of the adverse media campaign launched by the Duke and former trustees on March 25th. As a result of the Charity Commission probe, it has made fundraising extremely challenging for Sentebale, so they say, and so they have been reliant on reserves. So they feel that the deliberate and responsible step was to resize its workforce in all 3 locations due to the increasing uncertainty relating to international donor funding such as USAID, and of course the polo thing is gone. The Sentebale Polo Cup, which hasn't taken place in the last 2 years, usually raises about £740,000. So they're globally restructuring to improve efficiency, transition senior executive roles to South Africa, and respond to the changing service delivery demands. I think it's terrible what Harry's doing. This is my charity, and if I can't be there, I'm going to kill it. That's essentially what he's doing. And I think that just shows you Harry's total mindset. All right, let's move on. Next up on Instagram, Meghan put up this picture. The freaking labels are still on there. And she put upcycling, love is in the details. Love is in the details. You didn't even take the labels off. Okay, then she puts up a video. Here's what she's showing. Pickled lemons. Pickled pickles. We'll cover that in just a second. And then she's trying to show you her skills. Look at me squash some garlic. Look at me chop some onions. Look at me, I can pick up this pan and saute it. Watch me. Her hair is straggly, hanging down in the food. Once again, nothing's changed there. Then she shows you how she's plating it. She pours some greenery over it. She scrapes some cheese on top of it. And then you have dinner for one. I'm beginning to wonder what this is about. But the pickles, yeah, don't tell me she's not watching social media. She absolutely is. You know, everybody's talking about the fact that Meghan likes to be in control. Everything in her life is coordinated and in control and doesn't happen by chance. This is how Meghan lives her life. She wanted to operate separately from the Queen after she joined the royal family, and Buckingham Palace became really worried because they became aware that Meghan had plans for her life as a working royal that was not part of the general strategy agreed with the staff. She just wanted to do her own thing, which is fair enough if you're not a member of a tightly controlled institution, but it was never going to be acceptable for Meghan to outshine Anne and Charles and, of course, the Queen. But of course, that's exactly what she tried to do. Now, of course, Meghan and Harry, we know what happened. Their contract did not get renewed. They didn't produce any content that grabbed viewers. They ignored expert advice because Meghan has to be in control. So now, with the loss of everything, it's humiliating for the two of them because they have repeatedly failed to make an impact in any of the industry. But they're putting it out there that it's a better deal because it gives them more control. As far as her company goes, it's being said that Meghan has a weak strategy, ballooning costs. They blew millions on PR without securing supply chain. They just skipped right past it. And so now they have vendors who haven't been paid. The business itself is facing a lot of debt. It's a complete disaster. They're saying there's no leadership, no direction, and no money, and vendors haven't been paid in months. And that is why they're having problems restocking, because nobody's going to do something for free. Get it? With that, you should know it's been announced that Harry and Meghan's new Netflix documentary about the African orphans came about after they watched dancing videos at home with their son, Prince Archie. That's one of the upcoming projects as part of their new First Look deal. This documentary is called Masaka Kids, A Rhythm Within. It's going to be released on Netflix later this year to show how a charity based in a city in central Uganda is helping to provide orphan children with community. Remember, community is one of Harry and Meghan's buzzwords, and they did say they were going to spotlight diverse voices and share uplifting stories when they partnered with Netflix. We know that this is a dancing troupe comprised of children aged 2 and above, and Meghan and Harry claim that they fell in love with them during lockdown, watching videos of them at home with Archie, who's now 6 years old. And so they were really admirers of the organization. And then the film project came to them in 2023. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They were not involved in the filming of the documentary. They never went to Uganda. This is just like what happened with Live to Lead. Somebody else did it, and they're slapping their name on it and going, look, it's from us. Yeah, no. This is a documentary that tells the story of how filmmaker David Lopez got to know the children while he visited Uganda over several years. And the footage has now been picked up by Harry and Meghan. When they were made aware of the shorts, they recognized the kids from the viral videos, and that's how they snatched it up, and now they're offering it as their own work. They both have their names on the production as producer credits for the documentary. And of course, they put out a statement, which people are calling just another Mimi word salad, which it probably is. Let's move on. Now, in the middle of all this, articles are coming out saying that Harry's attempts to reconcile with the royal family are not going well. They have stalled. He's in a tense dispute with the family. Nothing's gotten better. But I think this is a PR puff piece because one of the things it says is that both sides need to compromise and the royal household needs to stop letting advisors get in the way. Really? Maybe it has something to do with the stupid stunts Harry keeps pulling, like him going to have a wreath laid where the king and queen laid a wreath, and then when nobody noticed it on Friday, he had to have a statement released letting everybody know what he did. Maybe it's just me. Maybe he shouldn't have told people that the royal family wants him dead. Maybe he should have cared enough to show up to his grandfather's memorial service. A big thank you to Think Beautiful for this picture. Let's move on. Now, with all the other issues Harry is having, you should know that Invictus Games is there's problems. You guys remember I read you out that thing that Mr. Fortescue wrote about how the wounded veterans of Invictus are done, utterly and irrevocably done, because Harry and his fame-hungry parasite wife, these men have seen war, they've seen death, they've dragged their broken bodies through fire and blood, and now they're expected to play supporting roles in a grotesque theater of two narcissists desperate for applause. Remember, I've called all that out. He said Invictus must cast them out because our wounded deserve dignity, not drama, service, not spectacle, and honor, not Harry. Also in February, a volunteer at the Games told the Daily Mail that the couple continuously insert themselves into the spotlight at the Games, and Invictus workers were also really annoyed when Harry gave a woke speech that people felt alluded to Donald Trump. Now, a senior volunteer stated to the Daily Mail, and I'm quoting, "While we remain committed to supporting the veterans and their families, there is growing frustration over how Harry and Meghan have dominated the narrative. Public sentiment, especially among veterans, reflects this frustration. Most do not respect how they continuously insert themselves into the spotlight. Unlike them, veterans and their families do not see themselves as victims, and their woke agenda dies with veterans." Wow. It'll be interesting to see if Harry's able to hang on as patron of Invictus. This is not the only issue. Jen on Twitter brought up that everything he does is for media attention. And here's a perfect example. The Scotland Trust contacted Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, over the rare service that took place for a POW under Japan in World War II. Buried in a cemetery in Sussex in a communal grave for almost 40 years, they wrote and told him about the extraordinary story of this, person, and never to this day did they get a response. Now, what they're saying is that Harry is now completely lost. He's hiding in his mansion, trying to face up to the fact that his life no longer has any meaning. He's nowhere to be seen. He's dealing with the fallout from his charity. He's trying to find his own thing, but he's lost. Like he's really trying to find his feet. He has a brown Midas touch, which a lot of people can infer what's meant by that. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, now, to end this video, you guys know this is a non-political channel, but when memes come up that are funny, I have to show them. Well, all the memes that I've collected this time are political ones. Unfortunately, that's all I could find. I still have no idea how these people make these things. It's just incredible. So if you don't like political memes, skip to the very end or end your video right here. But if you'd like to see some funny stuff, I don't care who's on it. It's just funny. You guys are going to want to watch this. Here we go. Goodness, I want your comments. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel. We've got some great recipes going, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as my physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.